Cheez-it the podcast, presented by Just Cheesy Productions.
Hi there, I'm your host Fondue. In this week's episode, help us celebrate National Swiss Cheese Day. We're going to talk all about holes.
Holes?
Swiss cheese holes.
What?
Swiss cheese hole regulations.
Huh.
Swiss cheese hole descriptions.
Whoa.
Holes in Cheez-it.
Really?
And a 6-meter cheese pull in France.
Holy cow.
And of course, we tell a very cheesy joke. Stay tuned for episode 59 of Just Cheesy, the podcast. I wanted to start today's episode with a little bit of housekeeping. Rather than dividing our episodes into seasons, we're just going to start listing them with a name and a number. We just wanted to let you know you might see something a little bit different.
Sounds good.
So cheesy, if you remember back in season 1, episode 8, we talked a little bit about National Swiss Cheese Day.
Yeah, we did.
We discussed how Swiss cheese is only Swiss cheese in the U.S.
Right.
and it's Emmentaler everywhere else.
That's right.
And we even talked a little bit about eyes.
Eyes?
Well, eyes are the holes in Swiss cheese.
That's right.
According to cheesescience.org, they explain that the formation of eyes or holes in the cheese is because cheesemakers add bacteria to the cheese.
Ew.
This bacteria produces gas or CO2, and it makes air pockets.
Ah.
And this is true for cheeses like Swiss and Gouda.
Oh.
The website also goes on to recognize that there are openings in other types of cheeses like Colby,
Oh.
but these are mechanical openings.
Oh.
They're created when the curds are pressed together and not because of the formation of gas.
Gas.
According to DurangoHerald.com, in an article called Swiss Cheese Conspiracy Theories Are Full of Holes, they say that cheesemakers have to monitor and flip cheese to make sure the eyes are distributed uniformly.
Really?
They also say that the number of holes in Swiss cheese has been declining.
Oh.
They also notice that the size of the holes have gotten smaller as well.
What?
They say that traditional Swiss cheese used to feature holes that were the size of nickels or larger.
Whoa.
But apparently, when slicing, these large holes jammed the high-volume machinery.
Oh, no.
But rather than getting different machinery or building something that worked better,
Right.
apparently, producers lobbied the government to reduce the size of the holes.
Oh, sure.
And now the United States Department of Agriculture actually has a standard for grading of Swiss or Emmentaler cheese.
Whoa.
According to ams.usda.gov, there are 3 different types of Swiss cheese, grade A, B, and C.
Wow.
They're graded according to 5 factors:
Okay.
flavor, body, eyes and texture, finish and appearance, and color.
Whoa.
In order to determine the eyes and the texture as well as color, the wheel or block is divided in half so that they have 2 surfaces to examine.
Okay.
For eyes and texture, it goes like this. The cheese should be properly set, have well-developed round or slightly oval eyes, which are relatively uniform in size and distribution.
Okay.
The eyes shall be 3/8 to 13/16 inch in diameter.
That seems so specific.
Right?
Yeah.
They say here that the eyes can be dull, rough, and shell.
Okay.
And it says the texture can be Chex, Pix, and Strubel.
What?
Now, I did not know what any of these meant.
Nope.
So we're going to cover that after we talk about B and C grade cheese.
Okay.
So apparently, the size is the same for grade B, the 3/8 to 13/16 inches.
Okay.
And it can be dead eyes
What?
and nesty.
What? Deadeye and nesty.
No clue. And they continue on saying they can be dull, frog mouth.
Frog.
Yeah. Frog mouth.
Frog. Okay.
One-sided, overset, rough,
What?
shell, underset, and uneven.
Okay.
And here we go again with the Chex, Pix, and Strubel.
Sure.
Grade C, we have afterset, cabbage, collapsed, irregular, large-eyed, and small-eyed, and it can have dead eyes, dull, frog mouth, nesty, one-sided, overset, rough, shell, underset, and uneven. And of course, it said here, the texture characteristics can be gassy, splits, and sweet holes, and Chex, Pix, and Strubel again.
Wow.
I figure if you're like me and you don't know what the term cabbage means with regard to cheese, then we would go to this website called cheesescience.org.
Oh, sure.
Grade A had dull, rough, and shell. Rough is literally rough. Dull, again, very literal.
Makes sense.
Shell meant that it had eyes that the wall surfaces looked like shelled nuts.
Okay.
And then we saw Chex, Pix, and Struble in all of them.
Right.
Chex are small, short cracks within the body of the cheese.
Okay.
Pix are small, irregular, ragged openings.
Okay.
And Struble means that there are too many small eyes under the surface of the cheese.
Okay.
Then we heard Deadeye and Nesty in the grade B.
Yeah, we did.
Dead means the eyes have completely lost their glossy or velvety appearance.
Aw.
Nesty meant that there were too many small eyes in localized areas. Then we saw frog mouth, and that means that eyes are lenticular or spindle shaped.
Okay, sure.
In our C grade cheese, we talk about gassy.
Yeah.
That means that holes of various sizes are scattered unevenly throughout the cheese. And while I thought frog eye was going to be my favorite, it's really cabbage.
Right.
It says here that cabbage means there are so many eyes in the cheese that they crowd each other. They leave only paper-thin layers between the eyes, and this causes it to have a cabbage appearance or very irregular eyes. If you're interested in the many other cheese grading terms, check out cheesescience.org.
Yeah.
Cabbage, not a sponsor,
Nope.
but if it was, its ad would go right here. Have you ever wanted to listen to the web?
Yeah.
Well, Newsly makes that possible.
They do.
They're an all-in-one audio super app for iOS and Android.
Super app.
You can listen to trending articles on the web on topics that you choose and get them read to you in a natural human voice.
What kind of topics?
Sports,
Cheese?
tech, business, science.
Cheese?
I'm sure there's even cheese.
Yay!
They even have an entire section for podcasts.
Are we there?
Of course we are.
Ooh.
It's one of my new favorite podcast apps. They even have digital radio.
Holy cow.
Just go to www.newsly.me to download it free.
Whoa.
Or use the link in the description. If you use the promo code CHEESY, that'll get you 1 month free premium subscription.
Yay, Newsly.
Now, back to the podcast. Have you ever wondered why Cheez-it crackers have holes in the middle?
Of course.
Well, wonder no more.
Okay.
In an article on mashed.com, they ask that very question. Apparently, there are a lot of different theories on this one.
Really?
One theory is so they fall face down.
Okay.
Another theory is this is where they inject the cheese.
Okay.
Another theory is this is the way they get transported in the plant so that they don't damage the edges. But the truth is pretty simple. Cheez-it holes are made in a process called docking.
Docking?
Docking punctures the uncooked dough and it crimps the top and bottom layers together. This allows steam to escape from the crackers while baking.
Okay.
And this keeps them from rising. So this makes them thinner and crispier. And it says here if it was not docked, you would actually have naturally forming air bubbles expanding into bulges.
Oh, no.
It also says that the docking pins are placed strategically in the center to give them a, quote, look of a punched pillow. If they were different, they said that you might get the, quote, rolling hills terrain that we usually see in saltines.
Holy cow.
It's time for my favorite segment.
This week in cheese.
According to a website called boingboing.net.
Boing, boing.
Yeah, that's right. Boingboing.net.
Okay.
In the article called Watch an Astounding 6-Meter Cheese Pool at a French Cheese Festival,
Ooh.
they have a link to the Instagram page of Jeune Matage,
Oh, no.
which has a video from the July event from the, I'm going to butcher it,
Oh, no.
La Guiole AOP Cheese Association's first ever festival, where they asked their chefs to compete in a cheese pool competition
Okay.
to see who could make the stretchiest aligot.
Yum.
And the video shows a stretch of over 6 meters,
Oh, wow.
which is 19.685 feet.
Holy cow.
Their cheese stretch was 19 feet.
Holy cow.
The link to this video is in our show notes, and you can see them do this cheese pool from a bucket lift.
Amazing.
Are you ready for a joke, Cheesy?
I sure am.
What is Emmental's favorite pickup line?
I have no idea.
You must be Swiss because I've only got eyes for you.
Oh, my goodness.
Get it? Eyes for you. It's
Yeah,
Swiss.
yeah. So
Oh,
dumb.
I know. Of course, it's a little bit cheesy. Thanks for listening to Just Cheesy the Podcast, number 59.
Thank you.
We look forward to talking to you next week.
Stay cheesy. easy, everybody.